We got that fly Nubian money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. We love our black skin, our melanin, always focusing in on that money. We always win, money never thin, 'cause we hustling, always focusing in money, 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 money. We got that money, 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 money. We that fly Nubian money. Boss talk, only we stack it up.
Good morning, good afternoon. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you to master your mindset and maximize your money. For years, corporate America publicly embraced diversity, equity, and inclusion programs as part of a broader push towards representation and workplace fairness. But now many of those same initiatives are facing lawsuits, political pressure, and growing backlash. PayPal recently is dealing with the legal settlements surrounding its DEI initiatives, is adding fuel to a larger national conversation about race, opportunity, hiring practices, and whether corporations are starting to quietly distance themselves from diversity efforts altogether. Some people believe DEI programs help correct longstanding inequalities or inequities in business and employment. Others argue that race-based initiatives can create division, favoritism, or legal problems inside the workplace. At the center of all of this is a bigger question about power, access, and who gets opportunities in corporate America moving forward. Because when companies change policies around hiring, leadership, and inclusion, it directly affects money, careers, and economic mobility. I am your host today, Dr. LaNée, and I'm joined by three other amazing queens: Shalaye Camillo, CEO of Vital Source Realty; Aisha Verzi, financial expert; and LaNée, clinical research strategist. Good morning, ladies. How are you doing today?
Amazing. How are you?
Morning.
Good.
Awesome.
Good morning.
Good morning. So have you guys been following this? Are you guys aware of what's going on with regard? It's an attack on Blackness is what it is, but they're doing it in the form of DEI and just going after these various initiatives that support Blackness or support the progress of Blackness. And so have you guys heard about this prior to today with PayPal?
I haven't, and I'm definitely looking forward to these videos here I got for us because I'm confused.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm confused.
I read a little bit about it, just to try to understand what's going on. So that's pretty much what I know so far from what I've read.
Okay. There's a variety of different lawsuits that are happening against black initiatives. So we'll start with this one right here. This is PayPal. I believe there is a video. So we'll start there and then we'll dive deeper into the conversation.
Hello and good afternoon. Listen, I just came across this little news story and I just wanted to share it with y'all. Now, I don't know how y'all gonna feel about this. I don't know, but I just want to share it with you because I found it extremely interesting. Because I'm going to tell you what it is, but I'm going to tell you I don't think it is what we think it is. Okay? So, all right, listen. PayPal just settled a lawsuit with the Department of Justice for over $30 million. The Department of Justice sued PayPal, claiming that PayPal discriminated in hiring practices and like promotion practices, raises, whatever. They discriminated against white Americans. Now, y'all know who owns PayPal, right? Y'all know Peter Thiel and Ketamine Kevin. You know what I'm talking about, Elon? You know those two white South Africans own PayPal. Do you really think they discriminated against white people? Do you? Now let me tell you what I think this is. They just giving Sid money. This is just another way for them to launder money and put it into Sid's pocket. Because who really thinks that a company that Elon was involved in and Peter Thiel created discriminated against anybody white? Okay. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Okay.
Okay. So she made some good points. So here it is. What does I say? So this conversation, or what she's alluding to, is can companies intentionally invest in historically excluded communities? Does targeting race at all violate anti-discrimination laws? Now, here's the thing. Where America is fighting right now is politically illegal. A lot of Black business advocates see these types of attacks on efforts to close the wealth gap and create access. The opposing side frames it as equal treatment under the law, right? So they're trying to say that when you do this, you're only Black people are going to be able to get access and go further, or have capital, if you will, be able to improve their life, if you will, by way of getting these funds and or accelerating in their career. But if you don't do it for white people, then now it's discrimination, right? What are your thoughts, Shalaye? Are you in agreement? Do you think that this is yay or nay?
This is, oh my God, I have so many thoughts. So many thoughts. Let me try to. Okay. This is a scheme that Todd set up to hit us with the bullshit. That's what this is right here. The fact that this white-owned company has to settle, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. The DOJ sued them for quote unquote discriminating against white employees or white business owners.
So hold on one second. Let's see. It's happening here. Trying to burn legal. Yeah. So they settled a lawsuit connected to its program that invested in Black and minority-owned businesses.
Yes,
Black and minority-owned businesses.
This is very obvious that they're like, we don't want to invest in Black and minority-owned businesses. We were made to do this under the guise of DEI, and it was all about their corporate image. They did not want to do that, so now they're trying to recoup funds through. The DOJ is suing PayPal, which is owned by Peter Thiel. This is a money grab. Follow the money. Like, this is a money grab. It sounds like laundering. The PayPal is now going to pay the government $30 million. Is that what that is?
Yes, PayPal. So the government, what's happening? It's a string of attacks, right? They were talking about PayPal, but it's the Fearless Fund. It's Find a Black Doctor.
Evening the playing field. That's all we're talking about. And these
all initiatives that help Black people in whatever capacity being attacked.
Yes.
As unlawful and unfair.
It's the gaslighting in our faces. It's the playing in our faces. We know that this country has been attacking Black people specifically for I don't know how many centuries. And every time there's any initiative to even the playing field, this isn't even a leg up. We're talking about, okay, since historically these people have this disadvantage, let's try to even the playing field. And every time the playing field is somewhat, they don't want to compete. Every time there's any initiative to try to even the playing field, then they try to do, oh, this is reverse racism. We didn't set up this system. We're not we're not contributing to racism because we didn't set up the system and we don't have the powers to maneuver in this system. This is their system. And the very fact that we even have to put these things in place is it tells you everything that you need to know. And the very fact that it keeps getting attacked, guys, we need to, I think we're all woke, Okay, I know they hate that phrase, that word, woke. We need to wake up and have our eyes wide open. These people don't want to do anything that will cause them to have to compete with us on any level. They're going to try to continue to put their foot on our necks. This is absolutely asinine. This is
a lot of this is like it's rolling back.
Yes.
LaNée, the argument that they're making is basically if a company creates funding specifically for Black or minority businesses that excludes others based on race, you can't do that, is basically what they're saying. I think what they're not realizing is everything on earth is created for the others. Everything on earth is created for whiteness. And so therefore you have to be specific and say, hey, there's $1 million in this pool for investing. We're going to put 250,000 of it for Black people to make sure that they get some. Now, this 750 is still going to go to you, but we're going to put a small sliver over here. So that's the question. Is that, do you think that that's reverse racism? Are companies creating funding specifically for African Americans or minorities? Let's just say that. It doesn't even have to just be Black, right? Because they're attacking minorities and whatnot. What do you think about that?
I think, what about reparations? What about, there's so many things that we have not obtained because of what has happened. We did not ask to be put on a boat and brought here into to America. But what it seems like they have built their wealth on our backs, our necks, our sides, everything. And then they said, okay, you've done it, now go. And we did not go. It's like, where are we going to go? So what we did is then we are building for ourselves to do something. And they don't want to acknowledge or recognize that we didn't ask to be put into this circle like this, but we have to do what we needed to do to protect our families and our future generation. And they're doing everything to not have that happen because they do not see us as human beings using humanity, that as whatever those laws were, that we 1/3 pig or whatever animal, and then this and that, as we were going, they don't see us as human beings to an extent. And so they don't care. And the other races are like, money. Okay, they're getting money, let's sue. The Donald Trump way, everybody sue, so they can just get money. And I believe it's a laundering thing. I think in the back, they have some type of the deals. They're going to talk about this and now how we can get paid as well as tarnish and make Black people seem like it's their issue, that they're the issue, they're the fault. We're wiping two stones, what did it say, two birds with one stone? So that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Aisha, I was looking for this. Okay. So how do we get here, right? We know, we basically know how we got here, right? Us, the president, right? This administration. But after the Supreme Court struck down affirmative action in college admissions in 2023, a lot of companies started getting pressured legally over DEI initiatives, scholarships, grants, internships, and supplier programs. And so a lot of corporations are starting to settle because lawsuits are expensive, public controversy hurts their brands, they want to avoid years of court battles, or they want to quietly change the program and move on, right? And so we are literally seeing this happen in real time. Aisha, from a financial standpoint, does it make sense for these? We saw what happened with Target. Target tried to pull the whole DEI thing, folks boycotted, and then a year later, they was like, okay, fine, we're going to do something about it. What are the legal ramifications for these types of things? Is it more important for businesses like a PayPal or a Fearless Fund or whomever being sued? Is it better for them to settle or better for them to support the initiatives and the communities that these funds are supposed to be going towards and to?
It's amazing how whatever somebody starts that thinks it's going to benefit one group and not the other, how it comes back and becomes a reverse thing, right? So companies now are going to start double checking themselves. If I'm a business owner that hires other people and I'm paying them, And if I know that something like this can happen to me, and I know how much it costs when you get litigated and you have to go through all the process, the cost of lawyers and all the time and effort it takes to defend yourself, prove yourself, people are going to think really deeply before they hire people, because then it's going to cost you so much if you don't do it properly or you don't do it right. And the unfortunate thing is, when something is created to help one group and not the other, this is going to happen, because eventually the other group too are going to say, well, what about me? I'm also a minority. How come you are hiring your people for this one reason and not me? I need it too, right? So no matter how we look at it as human beings, eventually business owners, human beings, will start thinking also about our own, what is going to cost us? Because if it's going to cost me $30 million if I'm trying to do something, then perhaps I will have to rethink whether I want to do this or not. And then the people now that I want to actually benefit from are going to suffer, because now I'm rethinking. Maybe if I do this, it's going to cost me more. Someone's going to sue me. And I don't want to be litigated all day long when I have a business to run. So for sure, it's going to affect how people hire people, if it's going to affect their pockets. And who suffers? Those that intend to help in the beginning are not going to suffer even more, because they don't want to deal with it when it comes to the fact that it's going to cost them, unfortunately.
Yeah. Do we have another video? I think we may have another video. If we have another video, let's go to our next video. And then we'll keep this conversation going. Let us know in the chat, what do you think about these attacks on Blackness, on a Black Forward movement, on initiatives that focus on the betterment of Black people, of Black professionals, of Black business owners, of Black people in careers?
To their files at this point, making money available only to minority businesses, essentially excluding white-owned businesses, and that doesn't seem very fair now, does it?
Not at all. And so they had a particular program, as you mentioned, in 2020 that provided $530 million for loans that were available only to these minority businesses, at the exclusion of other minority and white businesses, as well as veterans and other categories. And so this is illegal under the Equal Credit Protection Act. And I have reason to believe, and I know, that many banks have been engaged in similar practices, offering lower rates to minority homeowners, and some states have programs like this. These are all illegal under our Constitution and under our federal laws. And so this is a great resolution with PayPal. They've agreed not only to stop this illegal conduct, which of course they can test whether it's illegal or not, but it definitely is in our view. And they've also agreed to provide $30 million worth of fee waivers on $1 billion worth of transactions for businesses that are either veteran-owned or certified by the Small Business Administration as being in the fields of farming, manufacturing, or technology. So this is a win-win for American consumers and the market at large. But we want to hear from consumers about other situations like this, because we won't tolerate them in the United States.
All right. Dang, I wish she wasn't talking so fast. I think I heard her say that the 30 million was for waivers of fees on loan. Okay. So that actually was a great video. We probably should have started with that one.
Yes.
Because it talked about why, right? What it's for. So it's not just, it is explicitly what they're saying, Black businesses, not minority, right? So not veterans, not women, not da-da. They're saying it was specifically Black-owned businesses only. And so the core legal argument is that you cannot create programs, grants, directories, fellowships, or opportunities. It sounded like she was talking about real estate, loans, like anything that explicitly prioritizes one race over another. So maybe had they said minorities, or had they said, disabilities, that they had categorized it, not just based on Black people only, right?
The issue with that, can I say this, LaNée? The issue with that argument is, you cannot set aside funds for specifically Black people. All right, then, specifically Black people should not be targeted with predatory lending. Specifically, Black people should not be targeted by the police and by law enforcement. Black people shouldn't specifically be targeted when it comes to healthcare. Black people shouldn't specifically be targeted when it comes to getting jobs. That is what the purpose of that specific funding is supposed to be. The intention is supposed to be to offset all of these other negative things that Black people are specifically targeted for. So they're missing context of why the program would even need to be in existence in the first place.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just gonna. I think devil's advocate is we're not missing context. We're under a racist administration who's making this stuff okay. Who's flaming the fire? Go ahead, Renee. What were you about to say?
I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm saying again, where are our reparations to help solve all of these things? Where other races were given reparations for the things that have been done to them.
Right. This is part of the repair, or what this should be. If it were, and of course they're not going to do this because of where we are and who's in charge, but the purpose of these type of programs is supposed to be to repair the damages that have been done, or at least in part repair, because you can't really repair 4 centuries of missing out on, generational wealth and schooling, education, business building, real estate. You can never repair that. But what these funds are supposed to do, or supposed to be intended to do, is to provide some level of repair for the wrongs that have been done to Black people.
I think the DOJ, if I may add, is to be to play a devil's advocate, is that they are trying to interpret the law, saying you can't do that to anyone. So if we have this law as a nation, and then now people are like PayPal is practicing it on the side, that's illegal. Then it means a group is going to be excluded, and they don't want that. Then it creates a problem for the whole nation. So with the goal that we're trying to eradicate that you actually get hired based on your merits and your hard work. But we know that doesn't happen. We know that. But if somebody is practicing that overtly and people can see, then an Asian will also come up and say, hey, how come we didn't get a loan as well? And then now the Department of Justice has to now take care of that and say, okay, well, you can't do that, Ms. Shalaye. You can't do that because it's illegal. So I think that's the fight here. It's not that the things that we suffer as a group is not real, but if we want to move ahead, if specifically things are made without the reparation, that's the biggest thing. Reparation would have made everybody even. But if we want to say, okay, PayPal give certain money for a group of people, but not this group because of this group, then now you're causing more problem. You're not solving it. It becomes a reverse. Even though we know, you and I know that is in reality, but there's a law that has to interpret what a business can do. Because if if somebody comes to hurt you and the law says you're not supposed to go to Ms. Shalaye's house or do something to her, we will celebrate that because it makes sense. So that's what they're doing here, that a company cannot do that, right? You can't exclude people and say only these people can get this money, because guess what? The other group that are also minorities are going to come up and sue you.
Well, this is the thing. The other groups that are minorities that may come up and say, hey, we need to get it too. Are you specifically targeted to where you cannot get opportunities, where you're not having opportunities? If that's the case, I get that. But Black people in this country are specifically targeted. And that's why there is a need for these type of incentives. Now, if we go through a wave where, we have that whole thing about Asian hate, if Asian people are being specifically targeted in a certain way, in a certain industry, I also believe, hey, then if they've been held back in that way, all right, then I feel like they should level the playing field for them. But this is an attack on Black people. That's what it is. It's a blatant attack on Black people under the guise of, oh, the law interprets this as not right. And by the way, law, it's the way you interpret it. So they're taking the law and interpreting it in the way that benefits what they actually want to do, which is try to squash us, try to further put us back into poverty or more of us into poverty, and expand their wealth while diminishing our wealth. That's the purpose of what they're doing.
I think the DOJ should be focusing on reparation instead of this side things happening. They should focus on the big issue, which is pay up the reparation, allow that to go through, pay it, and now let's have a level playing field. Otherwise, this will keep happening. DEI will come,
they need to call it reparations.
Will never stop.
Yeah.
So it's huge, right? The lawsuits are often they're coming against Civil Rights Act claims, anti-discrimination statuses, equal protection arguments, post-affirmative action precedents. The conservative groups are bringing many of these lawsuits and often saying that race-based exclusion, race-based specifically, is discrimination no matter who does it.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, supporters of these programs argue these initiatives exist because historical exclusion already created unequal access and outcomes, right?
Mhm.
Because it's happening everywhere. The Fearless Fund, oh girl, Arian Simone, I think her name was, had $200 million. They was like, nah, ma'am. She had $200 million set aside specifically to help Black entrepreneurs and Black businesses. They were like, nope, you can't do it. Shut her fund down. She ended up having to go to Africa. So she took her $200 million and went to Africa, and she's able to still do the funding by way of Africa. The Black doctors website, they're being sued because they're saying you can't just promote Black doctors. Anything that is tied to Blackness is under attack under the guise of civil rights without proper interpretation of everything is for white people. You just don't say white. I think Raven Simone does a good job when she says, I don't have to, why do I have to call myself an African American when white folks don't call themselves European Americans? It's just assumed that, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to say Black, because if not, it goes to everybody else.
Yes.
LaNée, what do you think? Do you think that this is what are your thoughts on this whole situation with all of these different things? Everybody, basically, if you have your hand touched on Blackness, you're about to be sued. If you promote Blackness, if you talk about Blackness, if you support Blackness, if you give money to Blackness, if you are HBC, if you have Black anything tied to you, we're coming after you. What do you think?
Right. It's awful. It's sad that we have to continue to go through some of these things. And, you know, just like a lot of the, let's just say the traffic lights, the barber swirl chair. If there's so many things that we have done, but guess what? We don't know about it. We don't know about it unless we go outside and learn. And what they did was they erased the people who have built America, us, and they erased us. Like we didn't even do that. And so we're going back, but I'm glad that they have done that. They opened up that 1 billion fund, whatever, for white people, because guess what? They've opened up a legal action where now you said, okay, you've done this. So now you've opened that door. You opened that door for us to now say, hey, now here's what this, and this is what you have done to us, but you have not paid us back. So even though they're trying to squash us and it looks real bad, no, they're opened up the door now for us to really get in there and get the legal protection and things that what we require to have, which they didn't think they did, but they just opened up that door for us. And I'm glad they did. They opened it up out of hate, but guess what? I'm telling you, it's going to end up for us for our advantage soon, because now other attorneys are going to come back and fight that with what's going on with us as well. It's on the table now. It's on the table.
Exactly. This will just keep continuing, but in a different guise. It will just continue to never end,
right,
until you resolve that reparation, where you fix the problem. You whatever you started earlier on, you have to fix it. But if you keep changing and throwing different, ideologies out there and saying this and that, it will still come back to that again, because now you say he is not open now the chance for also African Americans to say, okay, which we want reparation, and the lawyers will stand and say, yep, you were able to do it here, you can do it here as well. Why not? Right? So it's an injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. If you do one unjust cause over here, eventually to catch up to you. It will, one way or the other. That's what's happening right now with the lawsuits and the different groups. Because again, people are beginning to open their eyes and understanding that if somebody wounds you and they don't fix that wound by doing something, it will always come back. And that's what we're facing today.
Yeah. So what started out with Edward Bloom, he is an activist of a company or organization called American Alliance for Equal Rights, right? And what opened this door is the argument that offering programs specifically to Black people violates anti-discrimination law. Specifically, Section 1981 of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which was a law that was originally created to protect formerly enslaved Black people from discrimination. They're using that to argue that race-based programs are illegal. So essentially, they're taking something that was put in place to protect us to destroy us, right? That's why people find these cases so ironic and emotionally charged. Laws created to protect Black Americans from exclusion are now being used to challenge programs designed to help Black Americans overcome historic exclusion.
Dog whistle.
They say pay up the reparation. I like what Deborah said. She said, oh, they don't want to talk about reparation and the Epstein files. And it's so true. They find a way to find something to distract all of us. Pay the reparation.
All right. Do we have another video? I think we may have another
They
video.
keep saying DEI because they know saying Black out loud sounds ugly. But make no mistake, Black people are the target. Trump's attacks on DEI were never truly about fairness. If they were, we'd see the same outrage directed at legacy admissions, generational wealth, nepotism, or the overwhelmingly white networks that have quietly opened doors for decades. Instead, the focus is almost always on programs connected to Black advancement. The PayPal settlement is a perfect example. In 2020, PayPal committed $530 million to support Black and underrepresented minority businesses and communities. And there was a reason for that. Black business owners have historically faced enormous barriers accessing capital, loans, and financing. Research has repeatedly shown Black entrepreneurs are far less likely than white business owners to receive full funding, even when controlling for income, creditworthiness, and business performance. That disparity didn't happen by accident. It was built over generations. But MAGA and Trump allies labeled PayPal's effort discriminatory against white people and sued. Now look at the outcome. The settlement redirects support toward businesses that are veteran-owned or operate in farming, manufacturing, or technology. And after this, administration has already signaled that direct Black support may invite lawsuits or DOJ scrutiny. Ask yourself, who do they think will feel safest applying for these programs now? Because this is how modern discrimination works. You don't always have to say, no Blacks allowed. You just make supporting Black people legally dangerous until corporations quiet.
Listen, she said a whole word.
Yes.
I like that video there. Like that is the whole truth.
Yes.
Now there is new language, but before we get to the new language that corporations are using to still support, let's just talk about what she said. And let's just talk about strategy is a motherfucker. I mean, strategy. I don't think people understand how important strategy is. And the game of chess and not checkers. Like, we're going into a new day and age where these folks is scared. They are scared. They are nervous. They understand that they're going to become the majority minority. They understand that the shift of power is in front of us, and they are doing everything that they can to hold on to it, blatantly aligning with racism and racists and people who also can understand it and feel it, and they're presenting conspiracy theories out there, like you're not going to have a job because of the Hispanics, and Black women are getting educated faster. They're going to come take your jobs, and Black men, like, they are the propaganda out there to shift the narrative and change the conversation to we have to do whatever we have to do to make it, even at the downfall of a community, if you will, from a financial standpoint. Give me your thoughts on that video, Shalaye, when you hear just all of these things that are taking place and the ramifications that they can have for our community.
So many thoughts on that video. One of the things that stood out most to me is when she broke it down so succinctly that you don't have to say no Blacks anymore. Just supporting a Black person, a Black business, a Black family
A Black
can
initiative.
cause and bring legal ramifications, can bring negativity to you, to your foundation, to your business. And the fact that they are using the Civil Rights Act of all things to present this under, they are blatantly and purposefully, the irony in that is comical, but they're being funny in our faces. And really the thing that I'm most concerned about, they're going to do it. They're doing it, right? What are we going to do about it? And that's definitely a layered conversation. But I think that that's the conversation that we need to be having next is what are we going to do about it? What can we do about it? And putting plans in place. Because just a quick story, renovating my house, right? And all of the materials that I bought. And like I had to go to Home Depot. I had to, all the sheetrock, all the nails that went in, all of everything that was a manufactured product. We don't manufacture those. We need to really be having these conversations on how we get into these industries that are always going to be needed. And we don't need to be putting this out publicly. We need to be having these conversations at the kitchen table. We need to be having these conversations within this community at our conferences and things like that. But we need to have these conversations because right now in this country, we are, whether we like it or not, we are dependent upon them and their corporations and their products and their services. And I think, bless you, that's where we need to start.
I couldn't find the mute button fast enough. I'm like, oh no. Okay. What about you, Aisha? What are your thoughts on that video?
Yeah, so many things came into my mind, especially when she said you don't have to say no Blacks, right? Or they don't have to use that word. And for the past few weeks now, I've been just going back and rewatching all the videos about the history of this country and how things came to be, and just really on trying to, because sometimes when you're young, you learn something. When you get older, you have a different eye. You look at the same thing with a different lens to understand the minds of the people that are creating this kind of divide or this kind of chasm between people. You want to understand what kind of mindset is that. It's amazing how it hasn't changed. It's just that now there are more people and the news goes out faster. So we get to see now really how people think and how they feel about a group of people. Like she said, they don't have to say no Blacks or whatever. Like say no, because in my family they talk about the history. No Blacks, no Irish, no dogs allowed, right? So then you say, wow, now you see how it hasn't changed. It just has it's now dressed up more nicely. They have now been educated enough to use better words, not just call it out the way it is. So she's saying, don't be fooled. It's just being packaged differently. That's exactly what she's saying. That's what I'm hearing. Is there something happening, just packaged differently, so that we can now try to figure it out? But it's the same thing. One group is going to suffer, and one group is going to have to fight that and to see where they fit in over and over and over again. And then my question again, when I watch that video, is then what are we going to do about it? Because I can say this to me personally. I feel like integration was the worst thing that happened to Black people. Integration was the worst because it means you're trying to take their communities, and then so they block you out and then block you even further as much as possible. So we're just now suffering it. And hopefully, though, we will come as a group together, find a way where we have to create systems that we can now be the one to also help our people. And hopefully the DOJ won't come again and say, oh, well, you're helping just your people. Again, to keep continuing until reparations will kind of solve the problem.
Renee, what are your thoughts on that video?
I like what you said, Aisha, because my grandfather always said it. He said, "I rather us had the I'm sorry, not to integrate." He said because at least you knew where you stood, and you know where your community is, and you knew how to build around to make sure that again that our community is safe. And so the integration was, he said, was a bad idea. And it looks like we are going to have to maybe go back into separating ourselves and containing ourselves and to get and figure out what we need to do to combat what's happening, because like you said, it's just bigger words dressed up in the package, but they're they're not being nice about it. They're like, this is it, this is who we are. And I love it because now we need to figure out how we can mentally compare and physically compare to get together and do what we need to do, because now we know.
Are there any more videos, executive producer? I think that, I mean, I'm looking at what can we do, what should we do, how can we do, you know, it's such a layered conversation, and the actions of what we can do and what we should do is so layered. And I think somebody said separation is the only solution, but the reality of that is it's not. We don't have, well, I think it's layered. I think it starts with kind of a little bit of what Shalaye was saying. We need to spread out across industries in order to do it. We can't do it with what we have right now. We need nails, we need wood, we need infrastructure, we need those things in order to truly separate. The only true separation we could do right now is consumerism, like just shop with Black people. Like that's literally all we can do right now, because we're not broad enough in our infrastructure and our access to truly separate like they did back in the day when we talk about it, right? We're so integrated, it would be difficult. One of the things I always talk about when we talk about these types of conversation is, you know, in the areas where we are not in, try to tie your transaction to somebody Black so that business can try to, you know, elevate in that industry, right? We don't have insurance companies. So if we separate who we get our insurance from, we don't manufacture technology. So if we separate who we get our technology from, we don't have cabling. So if we separate, like we need more Black-owned businesses across the board. We need more Black people in law. We need more Black people as judges. We need to be more integrated into the areas that actually make an impact in our community so that we can grow and understand in order to separate. So I think that sometimes when we have these conversations, we jump straight to it's this without thinking about the steps that are required. And really, we need to start here so that we can get to here. We got to start walking down this yellow brick road. But there's these essential pieces that have to happen first before we can even separate. So just say we should separate, yeah, but what needs to happen in order for us to do that? There's these other steps that we have to take in order to do that. The first one, listen, who said it? Community. Community is the very first one. Can we get on the same page? Can we work together? Like, I think if we could do that first. I feel like sometimes we're so separated on these issues. One person, and I'm only talking about our community. Now I'm not talking about this side want to do this side want to do that. We don't necessarily walk a foot and step with each other on different things. And so a lot of times there's fighting just amongst us. If we can figure out how to commune and really put some unity together and figure out who we want to back and how we want to move, that's one of the things that I'll give these other communities, the Asians, the Hispanics, they get things done because they can get, what is it called, stepping key or latching key, something. Basically, they can get in alignment. So when they put all of their community power behind something, there's weight. Mm-hmm. And we can get that. If we could just get that, I think some of these things could change for us in our community. Okay, we're getting close to our final thoughts. There's something else I wanted to tell you guys. Okay, so here it is. A lot of organizations. Organizations are aware of what's happening. Organizations are aware that DEI programs are being attacked. Organizations are aware that not even just organizations, right? Businesses. So whether you're Find a Black Doctor, Fearless Fund, PayPal, the white lady, I forget the white lady in California who is suing, I think it's like their version of Medi-Cal or Medicaid or something like that, because they had a program for Black mothers. They had a program for Black mothers, and she applied, and they said she wasn't a Black mother, and so she's suing them for discrimination, right? So it is not just DEI. It is not just corporations. It is anybody associated with giving Black men, women, children, community a leg up. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, doesn't matter what you do. If you say, I want to help this group of people, we are coming for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That being said, one of the ways that folks are trying to get around it is using language instead of Black owned, Black men, they're using underserved, underrepresented, economically disadvantaged, founders lacking access to capital. This is like the new language to not say Black. Okay. In your final thought, tell me your thoughts about that. Do you think that that will work? Do you think that that makes sense? But then also your final thought on how people can find you. I'll start with you, Aisha.
Yes, using any kind of way to describe a group of people, no matter how you dress it up, historically, we know exactly what you're talking about. It doesn't matter who it is you're talking to. As long as you live in America for a short time, you know exactly who you're talking about when you do anything in this country historically. So that, to me, it's going to be easy for people to figure out like right away. For me, though, after hearing about this lawsuit and just what's been happening with DEI and discrimination, which we know that when you don't repair something, when the reparation is not done, it will continue no matter what. That's just the way life works. Until you pay up what you owe someone, it will always come up. So to me, now, what do we do as a community? How can we start repairing? Because we know that if we integrate, it didn't help us. If we separate, that won't really help us either if we don't have the tools and the systems in place to help us. But we can start by reading the right things, like start feeding our minds and our space and the people we hang around with that are our group with the right mindset, because we have to shift our mindset as well to get the result that we want, so that we don't have to keep being the victims or the ones suffering every time when this comes up, right? So one thing I thought about is reading Dr. Boyd's book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. Those things help us. They will help us if we begin those little baby steps, so that when something like this happens, instead of everyone just thinking about us to be the ones that are only disenfranchised people, others to also come to mind. Because if that is the case all the time, we will keep going backwards, because others that are also minorities will come to also, what I say, they'll also come to challenge that well, we too are also discriminated against. So we have to find a way to fix that by coming together, right? To unite as a community, for sure. With that being said, where can you find me in the Black Business School? And also AishaVersey.com if you need help with your insurance, understanding how you need to better strategize your finances. I can help with that.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank
Renee,
you.
your final thoughts?
Sorry, final thoughts are my final thoughts is just to be aware, understand that we are under attack, and which we all, understand that, but also what we can do as a community. And you're right, we have to start as a community and just coming in and just being in sync with each other, right? Start there, and with kindness and grace for all of us, knowing that we're dealing with the situation. And if there's anything that I can help, please, contact me. I'm at tricyclesync.com. It is for maternity equity for Black women and their babies. So if you please check out the website, but also just check out me and just send me a message, and maybe we can figure out something together.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Miss Shalaye. Miss Shalaye, that's so funny, but go ahead.
Final thoughts. So I think your question was, do we think that the new language, the new like jargon that they're using around it is
Yeah, well,
relevant?
is that going to be efficient? Is it going to be helpful? Is it going to keep funds flowing to the community?
Yeah, I think that it could, but I think that it will be it could be more inclusive, which, you know, it is what it is. Like if the term is underserved, then people who are in the underserved community might also include other folks who are not Black. I think that we in having the conversations around what we can and what we should do, definitely starting within our communities and starting with our families. And just thinking about that, I had a visceral reaction because that's hard, right? It's really I don't want to say hard. It's a challenge to get in alignment with other folks, but we have to do it for survival. And I think that that's one thing that we're missing from the pre-civil rights era, is that folks did what they had to do to survive, even if they didn't like each other. They had to depend on each other. This person over here is growing okra, you over here, you got chickens, and y'all got to barter back and forth, right? And we need to get back to that mentality. They have us so we're like frogs in the pot that's simmering. It's not hot, but we're all simmering in the pot. We don't realize sometimes until we have these conversations just how disadvantaged that we are, just how 1 or 2 paychecks away from poverty that we are. And because we have these comforts and these luxuries that maybe other folks may not have in other countries and other parts of the world, we are tricked into believing that we got it, and we don't. So, but we need to, in order for us to get it, we're going to have to stick together. We're going to have to start having those hard conversations with family. And I'm making this face because my face never lies, but because I want to have this conversation with my family. But there's also trust there. And is everybody supposed to come to the table? You know, and it gets challenging, and it is multi-layered. Once we start doing things on a community level and really uniting as a community, we do need to look into what we can do on a larger scale. Like I said, all of the things that we need on a daily basis, we are getting from their corporations. And I think I said in the other chat, we need Africa, because we can do the same thing that China and India and everything did, but we are not thinking like that. And we're so disconnected from Africa, and there are so many issues there. And Africa got to get their act together too in order for us to easily do it. But we need Africa, and we need to, that's all I'm going to say about that, because that needs to be a private conversation. I am Shalaye Camillo from Boston, Massachusetts. I am the CEO of Vital Source Realty. And home ownership, affordable home ownership, not your dream home, is one of the ways that you can stabilize your housing payment, create a legacy for your family. It is still one of the best ways of creating wealth, and they after that too. So if you need help with that, please reach out to me. I'd love to help you with that. I can help you buy or sell real estate anywhere in the United States or Canada. You can reach me at Shalaye Camillo on Instagram and YouTube. You can go to my website at vitalsourcerealty.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get to some stats. I'm gonna give my final thought right before we get out. So I'll do final thoughts into my outro. I want to make sure that we get through all of the good stuff that we have here for you guys. So stats. Major corporations invested billions with a B into DEI programs over the last decade. Many Fortune 500 companies expanded diversity hiring initiatives after 2020. So after George Floyd, a lot of DEI stuff came out. Workplace discrimination lawsuits continue shaping corporate hiring policies nationwide. And studies have shown that diverse leadership teams can improve innovation and profitability. So hopefully these folks still do that without having to be told to do it. Corporate diversity programs remain one of the most debated workplace issues in America today. And I feel like if you would hire folks based on their talent and skill, we wouldn't have these issues. But, you know, folks want to be out here doing what they want to do. Our Black History fact for today, Black Women fact today, Dr. Shirley Jackson, one of the first Black women to earn a doctorate from MIT, broke barriers in corporate science and leadership while opening doors for future generations in technology and research. Her career highlighted how access and opportunity inside major institutions can change economic outcomes for entire communities. Thank you, Dr. Shirley Jackson. Okay, so my final thought on our way out the door. I'm Dr. LaNée Javette. I am a brand new brilliant strategist, and what I do is help Black African Americans to show up in a way where people are judging them based on their brilliance, right? And because of that, this conversation is exciting to me. The attack on Blackness is saying to me, y'all is some resilient folks. Y'all is some brilliant folks. And if we give you the proper tools that you need, you are going to elevate. You are going to go out here into this world and do great things. And therefore, we have to squash that. We cannot have you out here. We cannot have you out here doing good things. We see you getting highly educated, so we're going to attack the HBCUs. We see you making money, so we're going to attack PayPal to make sure that the funding isn't going to you. We see you starting to do more Black business with Black businesses, so we're going to attack Find Your Black Doctor. We're going to attack Black businesses that focus on Black businesses, Black directories, anything that has Black in it, we're attacking it. We see you moving into these nice neighborhoods. We're going to do some redlining. We see you starting to understand voting. We're going to mess with the voting rights. The more we pivot and learn and do great things, they're coming to attack that. So that being said, stand on your brilliance. Like, stand on knowing that we're doing the right things. We just got to do them better. And we have to do them as a community. When I move, you move, just like that. Like, if we got, I wish I could think of the word, step and fetch or something like that, where we do things in unison and we move in unison. And if we were to let our brilliance lead us strategically, not emotionally, but got logical, like these fools is, man, we would be unstoppable. And so with that, I'm Dr. LaNée Javette. I'm a brand new brilliant strategist. I help Black entrepreneurs and business owners and professionals, because we do executive coaching now, to use their brilliance to make money, to monetize, right? So if you want to reach out to me, drlanejavette.com, right there. At the end of the day, this conversation is about more than one lawsuit, right? It's about the attack on Blackness. It's about the future of opportunities for Black Americans, and whether companies are truly committed to inclusion when legal, financial, and political pressure starts building. For many people, DEI represents access to rooms and opportunities that historically felt closed. For others, it has become a symbol of division and unfairness. But regardless of where people stand politically, one thing is clear: decisions around hiring, leadership, opportunity directly impact wealth, career growth, economic mobility, entrepreneurship, access to capital. And whenever access to money and opportunity changes, the conversation affects everybody, all the peoples, right? And so thank you for being here, as always, for tuning in to Fly Nubian Money. If you want to make sure that you get notified when we are on every Monday through Friday at 1:00 p.m., you can text the word Queens, QUEENS, to 87948. Again, that's 87948. You can also not watch us, but hear us on Spotify. If you want to watch us, then go watch the videos again on YouTube. Okay, again, Monday through Friday, 1:00 p.m. Thank you to those of you in the chat that tune in religiously every day. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for commenting, submitting, liking, sharing. Right? If you thought this was good, please go out and share with somebody. That being said, thank you to our queens, Shalaye, Aisha, LaNée. I'm Dr. LaNée Javette. We love you. Go out and be brilliant, be bold, stay Black, and be one. We'll see you.